to be a live event and we had technical difficulties. So we're going to try this again with a pre-recorded session, but I've actually encouraged everyone to text. So I put a posting out. So we'll see if anyone does text through with some questions. I'll have my phone here. But welcome. I'm really excited to welcome Candid Clean. I heard about your company through my sister-in-law, and her sister apparently worked with you, I believe, and she gave me all the information about Candid Clean and masks and said, you got to check this out. And so that's how we reached out, and I've learned a little bit more about your products, but I thought it's best for you to explain yourself. And it's such an important time right now to educate people on the proper use of masks and why buying quality products is so important for their families. So welcome. If you can introduce yourself and tell us about your company, that would be awesome.
Great, thank you so much. I am really super passionate about Candid, and I'm actually a neuroscientist by training. And up until March, I was working at York University on more brain fitness type algorithms, and I couldn't do much because the kids were home and I had to be home, and all my students went into a remote learning mode. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me to take a step back from science and maybe do a little bit more in the public health domain, which has been really close to my heart. I also have been an educator for a very long time at the university level. And so I wanted to combine my passion for all of those things in Candid and come up with something that would service the community and friends and family generally for a long time to come. So as the pandemic kind of waxed and waned, we were bombarded with all kinds of safety products. And how do you choose between one or the other? And people were educating themselves on the fly, but there was also very little information out there about things to look out for. So we started Candid in a way where it feels like very accessible. We're making awareness and education a part of the product packaging to try to help people navigate this space because it is a bit new.
Yeah, I was saying to you earlier before we got cut off, just what a crazy world it is. I mean, before 6 months ago, I don't think anyone really thought about wearing masks. It was something that happened in other parts of the world that wasn't a regular part of our daily life. And then this pandemic hit, and all of a sudden everyone's grabbing masks, grabbing hand sanitizer, and just kind of grabbing whatever's closest to them, not knowing what's in these products, if they're safe, not knowing how to use them properly. And, something that I'm guilty of, and I've talked to my friends and most of them are agreeing that we're all guilty of, is keeping, a mask in the car and then just grabbing it, throwing it on, sharing it with family members. Oh, I need a mask. Okay, here, take mine, go in, not washing it. So just using it over and over again. And we talked about people wearing their masks down here. And I know you're going to explain why that's not a good idea. So, that's kind of how we've been existing. And now school is starting in 2 weeks. I'm in the school system, so I'll be going back in daily into the schools. The kids are all going back, or most of the children are going back. And I just think there's so much more potential for risk, and it's really the time to get educated. I also think that there's a lot of options that you're seeing out there for really cute and funky masks. We were talking about it being a fashion item. But now that we're going to have to wear them for longer periods of time, it's not just popping in and out of stores, but I'm going to be wearing them for hours speaking to students, and students are going to be wearing them all day in class. You want something that's breathable, that's healthy. There can be an odor, there can be off-gassing that comes from some of these materials. And so you want to make sure that what you're breathing in is safe and that it's comfortable. So where to start? You did drop off one of your beautiful kits for me. Thank you. And I'm going to be ordering quite a few more for my family and my partner's family. So having worked in the subscription box business, I was just so impressed by your packaging. One of the things, it's like buying insurance. There's things that you just, maybe don't want to spend your money on. And so when you do have to buy things, essential items, it's always lovely when you feel like it's something beautiful and fun to open. So I just loved the packaging. I love the hashtags on the back, even from an education and awareness and advocacy perspective. You're just doing so much with the packaging alone to bring awareness. So gorgeous. And then inside, we can start with the reusable packaging. Like, this is amazing. My partner was saying, oh, you can use this for bathing suits and and other things.
That's exactly the purpose of that. So I will show you, like the one that I have is empty, so we can kind of work our way through what's in it. So if you look at the kit packaging, the material is made in a way that you could use a wipe to wipe it inside out. You could also, if you are crazy like me environmentally, and it is plastic, you could just use soap and water with your, and dishwashing type item and then hang to dry. And we made the zipper be a hangable item. So, you get lots of Ziploc bags that don't have that, but you could have it hang. So there was a lot of, yeah, so there's a lot of thought that went into the packaging, because what we want is in your car or in your backpack, when you have a kit, it segregates all the items in the kit from other items in the bag, right? And with COVID, it's such a unique virus. So I was working at Baycrest doing my master's when SARS hit. And the coronavirus is another version of the original SARS virus. And it's one of those things where it's a very potent virus because it survives on all kinds of things. And so you could have it, on cardboard or plastic, and you just don't know how long it's going to be viable. So separating out things in this way, very important. So the packaging you can use over and over again to keep items that are hygiene related separate. We also have a smaller version of the kit. It's like a tinier version. And so if that's the one that we're giving to kids to keep in their backpack. So if you want a little bit smaller size, the kids will have access to that. If you are buying a mask pack, even the smaller packaging is sterile. So you could, if you are just dumping your mask in your car and everyone's guilty of it, just pop it in there so it doesn't touch your phone and your keys and the sideboard in your car. Like, just have it handy. So even if you are wearing it over and over again, it's just in a place where bacteria isn't interacting. Right. So that's the packaging portion. So yeah, we put a lot of thought into the packaging because we want people to reuse items. One of the things that's happening right now is that we're hitting a huge environmental crisis with disposables. There's actually going to be more disposable masks in the Mediterranean than jellyfish, because those disposable masks, they degrade over 450 years. So it's kind of all the efforts that we've been making to go eco-friendly are completely going backwards. So if you can do your part with packaging and masks and hygiene items to do a little bit more than you normally do, I would really encourage that. So
it's really upsetting when you see people have been throwing them on the ground and just dropping them around. And I feel like, this virus, one of the things was bringing attention to the importance of taking care of our planet and, those kind of issues. And then at the same time, we're causing more pollution now as a result.
Exactly. And I mean, you can't really help it in certain areas like healthcare where, it's really important to be safe. But I think with social distancing, the whole purpose is that if we maintain a healthy distance and we are doing our part, then we can use items that are reusable. And we don't need to be like, if you see people wearing disposable masks in malls and grocery stores, it really saddens me, because those are places that you could be wearing a cloth mask that you wash. And I feel like in the future, there might be some legislation where people are not allowed to wear disposable masks in community areas, because it's a lot of waste, because you have to dispose of it appropriately. And if you reuse your disposable mask, so I don't know if you've seen this, but people hang them from their rear view mirror. Yeah. Or the side of their purses, and the non-wovens that those masks are made out of are very toxic. So they capture a lot of bacteria and they'll stay there. So you can't reuse a disposable mask, and you shouldn't be doing that. And so I think moving forward, we've all been very protected and in a social bubble because of the strict mandates that we've had. And as we're opening up, we really need to educate ourselves more on proper ways of interacting again.
Absolutely. So inside the kit.
Yes, inside the kit.
I guess let's start with the masks.
Yep.
I have two here. I've got your adult size and your child size. And what I've noticed just from, having them for the past week, love the adjustable bands. And
Toggles,
just even
yeah.
with different hairstyles and stuff, some days you want it tighter or looser, or depending on the situation. So I've really appreciated that. And maybe you can just kind of walk us through a tour of one of the masks, so you can talk about the different.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me talk to you a little bit about fabric for masks, okay? So when it comes to viruses, cotton is naturally 90% acts as a barrier for 90% of any kind of toxins coming in. Okay, so if you wear and then if you have 2-3 layers of cotton, it gives you more protection towards other stuff that might be going on. So I don't know if you've heard a lot about N95s, but there was a huge campaign where N95 basically means that the mask filters 95% of particulates, whatever they may be, dirt, bacteria, pathogens. And that kind of 95% ability is very important in hospital and healthcare settings where patients are very sick and they might be exposing you with their breath or their moisture or their particles. So in the community, N95 is not needed. Okay, so it's one of those things where people are going crazy about it, but there's a lot of counterfeit on the market and you don't really need N95. What you need is a washable material like cotton, which the masks are made out of, something resilient where you could wash it over and over again and still use it. So if you wash our masks, they're up to 50 washes and you don't lose the integrity of the mask, which is very important. So the fabric is cotton. And then the inside of it is kind of like a linen muslin type of material. And it's made in such a way where it's breathable. So if you wear any other mask without a breathing valve like this, you could probably wear it for an hour, maybe 2, but you can't wear it for a full day. So the mask is like, we had our masks worn in hospital setting for a full day, and people found them to be so comfortable. You could take stairs in them, all kinds of things. And they're very soft and easy on the skin. So, a lot of nurses are having huge dermatitis issues from wearing the non-woven masks. And if you take certain fabrics, like if you try the Vistaprint mask or you try Old Navy masks, after a while, if you wear them for long periods of time, that fabric is going to irritate your skin and you'll need something to take care of that. So a few features of the mask, like I mentioned, the cloth is very important. The inside needs to be breathable. There's a pocket in here for a particulate matter filter. And these things are very important. Yes, in the summertime, exactly. And the reason for that is there's 5 layers in here, and the middle layer is made out of carbon. And that carbon layer filters a lot of dirt, just like you would use water filtration with carbon. Same principle, gets rid of a lot of stuff. These are not reusable. If you were in other parts of the world like China, you could only use 1 of these a day because the smog is so much. But because we're in Canada, we can conserve them. So you can use them up to 10 times. And so if you are in a classroom all day, I would encourage you to maybe not use it 10, maybe 7, because you're using it for long periods of time. But if you're just going grocery shopping, then you could use it up to 10. And so you can plop that into the mask. So now you have 8 layers of coverage. Wow. And it's still breathable. So we wouldn't recommend people sneezing on you if they have COVID, but it still gives you really good protection from what's out there. So every time you wash it, you plop that out, and then you can wash the mask, and then you keep the filters. So even the filters, we sell like a pack of 5, and they come in this baggie that separates out the filters. Yeah, it separates, and then it teaches you exactly in 10 days, toss it out. Right. So
schools, you think 5 days a week at school. So you've got coverage for 2 weeks then, right?
Exactly. That's what we wanted. We wanted you to have enough coverage and then you toss it out. So if you're putting this in your car, you can just grab a fresh one.
Like, I'm just thinking that's 2 a month, really. That's not bad.
No. And they're about, so 2 a month, like 2 packets would be like $20. It's like a meal. Yeah. Right. So it's not, for your safety, it's nothing compared to, and then the packaging is nice because you just plug it into it. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of the mask is these are all hand sewn. So we tell you how to take care of your mask directly on the mask, but we have another item. So the breathing valve, the way it works is people were really concerned. There was some media coverage where if you wore a breathing mask, they said that you are actually, allowing your breath to pass through and then other people might be getting exposed. That's not the case with a good quality filter. So there's some that are not very good quality. And the inside of it has like a little, you can't really see it, but it has a plastic disc inside. And what that happens to it is when you breathe out, that disc pushes against the valve. And then when you breathe in, it pushes the other direction. So a lot of the sub-quality masks that you're getting don't have that disc inside. So all they have is the shell. So yeah, you are breathing out stuff. So you have to be careful in when you are purchasing a breathing valve, if it has all the 3 layers that you need. And what's really important about the breathing valve is moisture control. So you mentioned this earlier where you were saying breath and moisture, and it becomes a big issue. And what's happening is when you're wearing masks for extended time, people that have asthma, allergies are more prone to bacterial infections. You're breathing in all of the stuff that you're supposed to normally be expelling out back in. Right. So, they found that people, like even nurses that wear N95 masks for extended period of time, they were more at risk for developing lung infections and other infections. So you need to be able to breathe properly and not have moisture buildup. And so this brings me to a really cute swag type item that we decided to invest in. And this is the little fan. It's the Candid fan. Yeah. And so it was meant to, I know. So it's meant to, it goes into any phone. Everybody has a phone these days, Android, iPhone. And it seems like a marketing thing, but it's not really. It's meant for education. So you plug it into your phone. And the reason that you would want something like this handy with you is if you do get hot and you do want a little bit of air, because that might happen on like a really hot day, then you can just fan yourself without necessarily adjusting or touching your mask without sanitation. So the proper way of dealing with masks, and this is sort of what we teach in how to use our kit. So we have bilingual little cards in the Candid kit. And not only does it teach you how to wear your mask, but it also teaches you to keep in mind certain tips and tricks. So if you are going to touch your face, you want to squirt some sanitizer first in your hands, right? And then rub them, and then put the mask on. And then if you want to adjust the mask, you would have to sanitize your hands again. And the proper way of removing a mask is you take the toggles off, and then you hold it from here, and then you flip it inside out. And then you can touch the inside, because the inside hasn't been exposed to viruses.
And then you would touching this, and then you're touching the inside, you're just contaminating everything, right? So
right. And then you would have this version of it. Yeah. And then you would just pluck it in, seal your bag, off you go, right? And so, yeah, we thought of all of these things because at the end of the day, the goal is to prevent infection, right? I mean, wearing a mask, people think, oh, I'm forced to wear a mask. Yeah, but why are you wearing one? If you're transmitting more than you need to by touching your face, you might as well not wear a mask.
So this is something that's always kind of been an allergy mom thing, or people in the allergy world. We're very aware of cross-contamination and invisible traces of things because we've had to be. You hear stories of people who, were exposed to their allergen because someone used a knife and used butter or peanut butter, and then even though they wiped that with a cloth or whatever, there were trace amounts of that allergen, which then caused someone to have a reaction. So in the allergy community, I think in general, we're very aware of hidden sources of risk and danger. We go on an airplane, we're wiping down the seats, we're wiping down the surfaces. We go into a movie theater, we're doing that. So this is something that's really on our radar. And one of the things with the pandemic is it's kind of normalized our behavior with the rest of the world, where we feel like we don't look like freaks anymore, that we're wiping everything down and worried, but it's true. And so it's something that I think we have to get really mindful about. It's, that we're touching surfaces that could be contaminated, and we have to really kind of envision the invisible, right? And
exactly.
on those surfaces. That's
two
a good.
other exact, yeah. And so, I mean, that whole idea of flipping the mask over is something really simple for you to do. It literally takes 2 seconds. It becomes common practice, but people don't do it, right? And so, like even with my kids, I have to remind them all the time, okay, did you remember to flip your mask inside out? Because if they're going to plop it into a bag or something else, and if you don't have one of our kits, you want to make sure there's not as much contact. So two other little things about the mask that I'll talk about. It has a built-in aluminum wire on one side of the mask, but it doesn't on the other side. Now, mask fit and comfort is probably the most important thing. So if you have a longer nose or a longer profile, it might be, yeah, very nice. It might be better for you to wear the mask like this, right? So it does not matter whether you wear the mask like this or you wear it like this. It completely depends on your face and what you find comfort in. So unlike the swap masks that you see where there's air pockets entering everywhere, you know, somebody asked me the other day, like, oh, a pack of 5 at Old Navy are so much cheaper than your masks. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, they're great. But they're like the thong version of a mask, because really you have air going in everywhere. So it's not, if you want to stay protected, you know, you want to have a good fit.
I plan for my glasses when I'm back in the schools as well, just for that extra barrier. And so I'm wondering if one way might feel more comfortable with my glasses versus without. So it'll be interesting to see. And also for, you know, fogging up your glasses, I feel like this way with the bridge of the nose covered might be better for that.
Right. So that's what I wanted to bring up to you. The fogging glasses thing is huge because it really decreases compliance, because whoever wears glasses does not want to wear a mask because they're constantly cleaning, and then they have to take their mask out. And then if you're cleaning your mask, now you've transmitted all the bacteria from your hands and face into your glasses. And we know that COVID can enter the skin through eyes, right? So it is eyes, nose, and mouth. So I know it sounds very scary. It's not really scary if you take the proper precautions, but people don't think about these things. Just like you mentioned, unseen items that are out there, it's exactly like that. So we offer a bendable nose bridge, which is like an adhesive. We are working on innovation where our next set of masks will have it built in on both sides. I think, yeah, it comes in the pack. I don't know if you have one. Yep, there it is at the very bottom.
And again, always love all your amazing instructions and kits. It's great.
Yeah, we made them so you could put them on the fridge or, you know, somewhere on a pin board. Yeah, so that you always remind yourself. So this is what the adhesive looks like. You just remove the sticker at the back, and then say I want to wear the mask this way. I would plop the mask in like that. I would adjust it a little bit, and then I would place the adhesive here like so, and then just press it down and it will adjust to where my nose is. And even though it looks a little bit, you know, tacky, it's supposed to cover up everything. So now if you wear glasses, they're not going to get fogged up.
Right.
And, you know, it gives you that sort of disposable mask coverage in the same way where you have a bridge. And you can just like take it off and wash your mask. So
I really like the feeling of it more secure on my nose, just from having tried different masks. It feels safer, and yeah, it just feels like a better fit.
Yeah, it is a better fit. And then also, you know, because you can tailor it according to how close to your nose you want it or how further away, having the option to adjust it or bend it whichever way you want is really important, because what if your nose is a little bit wider than somebody else's? You're never going to have a one size fits all ever. And this way we kind of do that. So the nose bridge is really important.
For like feeling claustrophobic while wearing your mask? I know
air.
A lot of education. So, because I get claustrophobic, and I find sometimes I'll start to feel panicked when I'm wearing my mask for a long period of time. And I feel like I need to like almost remove it to get a gasp of air, and then I put it back. And I know it's psychological. I have training in yoga, so I do my breathing and calm myself, but I think that this is something that a lot of people do feel. And as we're forced to be in situations where we can't, you know, kind of get any respite, we have to keep our mask on. any tips you have would be really helpful.
So I would, I think that when you are, the worst part about, and because I'm a neuroscientist, I know this from psychology, when you feel claustrophobic, the worst thing to do is to try to circumvent it somehow. It's pretty much like when somebody has obsessive compulsive disorder, they have an obsession, they need to fulfill that in order for them to maybe have closure. Exactly. And that's why, with yoga or other training where you're mindful of what you're doing, it'll try to help, but all your focus is going to be on your claustrophobia. So if you're in your classroom teaching and all you're thinking about is, hey, I want to get rid of this mask because I can't breathe, you're going to spend all your resources. So what I would recommend for that is do keep your fan handy. I know it sounds tacky, but plug it into your phone, give yourself a little bit of respite with air. And then, have, just like you would do like timed stretch breaks, I would, every hour and a half, when you have a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break, carry your sanitizer, sanitize your hands, remove your mask, catch a bit of air at somewhere private where there's not a lot of people around you, put it back on. Right. So as
therapy and clinical social work as well. And so I think that there are a lot of people who, have histories of trauma or have other reasons where covering their mouth and their face can be very traumatic. And so, there's psychological issues that come into play with all of this as well. And I think that's why, when I'm wearing the mask and being able to comfort myself and knowing there's a breathing valve, I'm getting air, I'm okay, and this is a healthy mask to be wearing, it's just so important.
For sure. And I think that brings us back again to the idea of the cycle of how you would remove your mask again. So as long as you do it properly, you can remove it 50 times a day, as long as you've sanitized and the contact is maintained. So if, eventually once you start, it becomes more and more familiar and part of your day to day, you'll go longer stretches without having to remove it. And also the cold weather will help, with the breathing issue, because as we get into cooler weather, it should help a little bit as well with breathing. But I never want to tell people don't take your mask off. If you want to take it off and you're hot or claustrophobic or feeling like you can't breathe, take it off, because your body's giving you a signal that you need to take into consideration. Just do it well. And that's why, once again, put everything in your kit. So if you have it, you get it out and do what you need to do, and it goes back in. So the very last thing that I'll talk about with the mask are the ear savers. And as a teacher,
that's what I was gonna say. We just love this. And again, like from people that I've shared your kit with so far, they are so excited about these. I know from the men in my life how challenging a lot of the masks are. And I've seen it. I was on a plane and I was looking at the man sitting in front of me with his poor ears, and you could see the discomfort. So I think for men, I'll let you go through this. It's amazing. And then for women, I just love the headband. I mean, I guess men could wear the headband too, but I don't see it happening as often.
Yeah, we have 4 colors in the headbands, and they're all very neutral. So you could wear them, even as like when cooler weather comes on, you have your scarf and your mitts, and it can work as like an ear protector too. And the nurses at the hospital swear by them. Like, I had to actually order so many extra ones for the nurses because they love the fabric, they love how comfortable it is, and the big buttons. You just put them on. So the ear saver, there's, once again, all of our packaging, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. So the leather is made out of the recyclable fabric leather that was used in planes for seats. So it's very resilient, it's very, very resilient. So all you have to do is soak it in some water and then air dry it if you want to wash it. But because it's at the back of your mask, you don't have to wash it that often anyway, because it's not really being exposed to much. So the way you put it on is you have the Candid Clean brand sort of facing back, and then you button it up. And this is going to require a little bit of practice in terms of what your head size is. So you'll know very quickly which button to go with. Okay. Depending on how much coverage you want.
Okay. Oh, that's easy.
Yep. Yeah. And then once it's on, then you can kind of expand it however much you want. So it can, exactly. And then it sits on the back of, so if you go on our Instagram, you'll see we have a picture of somebody showing it on the back of their neck. And it rests sort of right nicely in the back of, and it gives a lot more elasticity to The mask.
My curly brown son with his big round head. I love him, and I think this is going to be a game changer for him.
Yeah, and also I feel like there are a lot of ear savers on the market that are very, like, they're plastic or silicone. Bacteria rests on all of those. And also we want, like I said, we want products for people, when you buy it once, you don't really want to be buying them over and over again. So wash it, keep it, you know, and leather is very good with that. So that's sort of the mask in terms of comfort, wearing it for as long as possible. We talked about the sanitizer, using it to clean your hands all the time. And then the product packaging.
Sanitizers, because I think a lot of people are using the gels, and these are sprays which are really cool. I've got the unscented rose oil and bergamot here. Amazing.
What did you think of the scents? Do you think they're too empowering for somebody who is really aware in the allergy space? Because I mean, obviously we recommend unscented, but you know, some people like scents. So,
well, it's funny too, because my daughter and I have used some. We bought some that were unscented when we flew to California, and we actually found that they had a smell. So often things that say unscented still have like a very alcohol smell or whatever. I find the scents very mild. They're lovely. They're from natural essential oils, as far as, you know, I've learned from you. And so I wouldn't find them overpowering. And because they are from a natural source, I think that they're to the system.
One of the most important things about our sanitizer is the okay, so we can talk about the medicinal ingredient, which is the 75% isopropanol, and 99% of the sanitizers on the market right now are made out of ethanol or ethyl alcohol, and that is basically what we would use in the food industry. So if you know, that's why distilleries very quickly changed their focus from making drinking alcohol into making sanitizers, because the raw materials are the same. So ethanol, which is prevalent in the market everywhere, has a very strong smell, right? It smells like tequila. It's very, like, some of it that's bad smells like bad beer, you know. So ethanol has a very, very strong smell.
It leaves a subtle, very, very subtle but lovely smell.
So the reason we decided to go a little bit in the scented line is, I don't know if you're aware, but the perfume industry is going to be very hard hit soon, because alcohol is very short in the global market now. And so if you are going out there and you want to buy like an eau de toilette, or you want to buy a perfume, and you know things are going to get more and more expensive, you'll notice that the sanitizer, you put it on your hands or you spritz it even a little bit here, because it can be used topically, it'll leave like a nice smell. And because it's made out of essential oils, it kind of works multifunction. But all the products
for a moment about the neck, because
yes,
that's something I really want to make sure we talk about, because you do see so many people, and I'm so aware of it since we had this conversation, you and I, having their, you know, just doing that, right? I'm wearing the kids one, so it's a little small, but just pulling it down and up. So can you kind of explain why that's not a good thing?
What happens is, okay, so in terms of exposure to things, you know, your neck area is like your hand area, right? You touch stuff or things come and they're coming in here. And so it's exposed to a lot of things in the environment. The moment you take your nice mask that has only been exposed to your air and you shift it down, now basically the outside of it is exactly the same as the inside of it. So you might as well not wear a mask, because what you've done is done this.
Yep.
Pretty much, effectively. Right? And so it's, when people wear it in their neck, they do that because they're hot. And I think that the whole issue is, how can we extend breathability and extend people wearing the mask the right way with the fan or taking it off or something to help people keep it on? And if you are going to remove your mask, remove it fully, right? Take it off completely, fold it, take a breath of fresh air. If you're sitting in your car, yeah, and so your ears, exactly same situation, you know. And the best part is, when you go into like a Starbucks now, people are allowed to sit indoors. They'll do this, and then they'll be on their phone like this, and then they're breathing and they're expelling, and that expulsion coming from their breath while they're talking goes up to a meter away, right? And so you might as well just take the mask off. You know, go outside, take your phone call. I think that, and this is something that I feel really passionately about, and I don't know how things are going to go when school starts, but kids that are little, you know, that are really little, under the age, like under grade 4, they have a mandates for masks starting at grade 4. And the reason for that is if you're in 4th grade, you're maybe able to handle that. But younger kids, all they'll do is touch their mask and want it out. Like my son hates it and he's 7.
They're changing it now. They're changing it to grade 1.
It's going to be a disaster because the reason is the kids can't, if you as an adult have a hard time.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is transmission, you're actually increasing the rate of transmission because you're touching your face all the time. And kids normally wouldn't touch their face as much if they weren't wearing a mask. But if you do the math on how many times more a kid will touch their mask than touch their face, it's crazy. So we'll see how it pans out. But I just feel that if you have younger children, teach them, and with our flippable book, you'll be able to do this, teach them how to maintain a distance, how to interact with other kids in a playground, how to use hand sanitizer properly. And once you train your kids to do that, just like piano lessons or chess, you're really mitigating transmission. Putting just a mask on and sending a kid off, not gonna solve the problem, right?
I've always been anti-hand sanitizer because I just felt that hand washing was best practice. And, you know, from an allergy perspective, it wasn't killing proteins, right? So it was, you know, killing bacteria and viruses, and there was that component of hand sanitizer. But as an allergy mom, it's not getting rid of the protein of the things that my child's allergic to. So for me, it wasn't a substitute for proper hand washing. And I was concerned, as I always have been, with sunscreens and other things about, you know, we're putting these things on our skin, which is basically ingesting. We're ingesting things. And, you know, you and I have kind of talked about too, like you're eating. So people are putting all this stuff on their hands and then they're eating and they're not washing their hands beforehand. So, you know, can you speak a little bit just about the quality of what is in here and what the alternatives are and how it really hasn't been regulated up to this point?
So Health Canada basically waived a lot of exemptions when there was a huge shortage of sanitizer on the market, and now they've waived them to a point of a little bit out of control. So now there's stuff from China and other parts of the world that's coming into Canada with no regulation. So our stuff is Health Canada approved. It has an NPN number. So if you notice an NPN number on a hand sanitizer, you know that Health Canada has approved it. It's very important to watch for the NPN number. If you do see products from offshore sources, I would recommend just not buying them because if you buy them, there is no regulation that you can go back to if you had an allergic reaction. If you have an allergic reaction to one of our products, God forbid, or whatever, you know, you can get in touch with us and you can get in touch with Health Canada and a recall can happen. Whereas if a supermarket is selling hand sanitizer that they've bought from China, there's going to be no repercussions as such of that distribution. So be careful about what you buy. And I know it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's like, you know, you're making a decision about your health. So I
feel like I've used this tons of times already and it's hardly made a dent. So it does last. And I actually am loving the spray as opposed to the gel. It's just so convenient. And I don't know, I like the feeling on my hands better.
So, let's talk a little bit about the ingredients. Yeah, let's talk about the ingredients quickly. So all the ingredients in the hand sanitizer are pure. So pure isopropanol, we get it at 99.9%. So it's as pure as it gets. And then we dilute it down to 75. You actually only need 60% to kill stuff. But we have 75 because we want to make sure that all of those proteins, like the virus, is completely deactivated. And preliminary tests with our sanitizer show that upon contact, it kills. So, you know, those white papers are going to be coming out shortly as we ramp up our production. But the other ingredients in the hand sanitizer, something that's very important is surfactant. So our hands, if you use a lot of sanitizer, they tend to get really dried out and your skin gets very irritated. So some of the sanitizers that are on the market, especially gel, actually accelerates skin irritation because a lot of the gels would have nylons and polymers in them to give it that gel consistency. So just like how we started to move away from parabens and sulfates, we have to start moving away from polymers and other things that are in the gel. And so if you are using a lot of gel, you'll notice your hands becoming sticky, residual stuff gets left over, and there's less control. The spray, it evaporates in 30 seconds, and then the benefit of it pretty much is done. So that's what it is. Like, it's for quick interactions, to use it often. You could spray the unscented on your backpack, I use it on my phone all the time, just wipe it down, put it on your ear. In 30 seconds, it's pretty much evaporated. And so it's killed whatever's on the surface. You could use it for all surfaces that you touch. So I put it on my steering wheel, on the side of my window, when I'm driving on my gearbox, all the places that you would, and that's the versatility of the spray that you would not get in a gel formation. Even things like, you get Amazon deliveries, or something's coming from the US right now is so hot. A lot of our products are coming from there. And we know that the virus can survive on cardboard up to 2 days. Like,
and it really does make a difference. Like, I'm picturing myself in the car with my kids and trying to squeeze out some gel, and you get this big blob, and it's sticky and it's messy and it's everywhere, where this is just the ease of administration and just the way that it feels is really awesome. So
right. And so the other ingredients in there are 100% vegetable glycerin that comes from organic, non-GMO sources. So a lot of people are using vegetable glycerin in their hand sanitizers, but the sources of them are not as regulated. Our stuff is regulated. All of the scents are pure from, distilled proper essential oil concentration. We also have peppermint, which I don't think you have one, but like, we have a bunch of scents that are mild, allowing people to have a little bit of variety. So you could buy a 3-pack of sanitizer if you get bored with the unscented, and then have that with you. Today you feel like a little bit of a scent. The other ingredients in there to help fight disease are hydrogen peroxide. It's very important to have a little bit of that. And then we also give you a little bit of I can never say it properly, seed oil.
Jojoba. Jojoba. Whatever.
And there's very trace amounts of it, but that's what gives your hands that nice feel at the end, where you don't feel like you've just completely removed your skin. So the sanitizer is made in Canada. We're very proud of it. It meets all the regulations. It's multi-purpose. Use it on your backpacks, your purses. Keep it with you on the go. The last couple of
spray other people when they come near you. Can you just
be careful? It is toxic. And so the only one thing about this, it also works like an antiseptic. So say you're a sports mom, and you're out in the field and your child gets injured, you can spritz some of this. It works as an antiseptic as well. Whereas the ethanol ones are not as antiseptic. So the only thing that is a little bit different about ours is that you shouldn't ingest it. So if you do get food grade level stuff, it does smell a little bit putrid, but you could, ingest it. But because it dries so quickly, there's nothing really left over anyway. So if you want to wash your hands before a meal, sure, but it's gone within 30 seconds anyway. So that's one thing. Very quickly, always keep a pair of gloves with you wherever you are.
We're so on the same page, because I'm like, okay, I'm ready with the gloves.
These are nitrile ones, but we also do latex. So if you don't have allergies, yeah, there's white, there's blue, there's, So
let's talk about gloves, because there's lots of things about wear gloves, don't wear gloves, when you should wear gloves, what you have to be mindful of with gloves.
So with gloves at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot of people wearing gloves. And then as the pandemic
to the grocery store, it was ridiculous.
I know. So there was a lot of people wearing gloves. And as the pandemic went on, people start to have as much tolerance for gloves, and they started to go gloveless, myself included. But it's important
information about whether it was actually beneficial or not, right?
So gloves are very important. Yeah. I know. They're very important in high traffic areas or constant interactions that you have with surfaces like, pumping gas, things like that. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I feel that now things are changing a bit with the gloves is we have to once again be mindful. Every pair of gloves takes forever to degrade. So ours are washable. You can use them up to 10 times. They're not going to rip. The surgeons actually did this kind of testing on them. they kept stretching and stretching and stretching, and it was like amazing quality, right? So the nitrile ones are very strong. So if you buy a size bigger than what you normally wear, just one size bigger, even if you know, your hands, like I always get the medium, even though I'm a small, then you could easily wash your hands and then just go, psh, and then you can reuse it and you just hang dry. So just like, that's it.
Awesome.
And so the gloves, I would highly recommend carrying a pair with you in the car for things like pumping gas, because you cannot spray sanitizer on a gas pump, flammable craziness, right? Like you can't, touching a pin pad, nobody's coming out there to wipe down the pads like a grocery store. Yeah. So pumping gas, which everyone does, should only be done with gloves, because people leave their handprints on the pump. Every person who's coming in to pump gas, there's no cleaning afterwards, right? No. Like you don't see somebody standing in the pump doing this, whereas at a grocery store, you would. And so pumping gas without gloves, a big no-no. So I would just recommend having at least a pair of them with you that you can reuse, you know, and stay protected.
So if you're out somewhere and you're wearing your gloves, can you wash your hands and continue wearing them? Or can you put the spray on the gloves, or do you just wear it and then take it off and... Like,
no, you should. I mean, your gloves are essentially exactly like your hands. And so, you know, you have to put the sanitizer on, you have to wash your hands. And so they pretty much effectively work exactly like your hands. So wearing gloves doesn't give you extra protection. Yeah, it doesn't give you extra protection. And the worst part is if you're wearing gloves and then touching everything and then touching somebody's credit card, back to square one. So the last thing that I kind of want to talk about a little bit is, oh, here's the little tiny, this is the tiny kit that I was talking about. This is the mini kit.
Oh, so cute.
And these are the ones that we want to encourage for little kids and students. So they come with the Candid Kid Pack, comes with all the kind of education you need to be safe on the playground, when kids need to use it, exactly, how to keep your hands healthy. It comes with a sanitizer spray and then a kiddie-sized mask. We decided to not have any prints on our mask, not because we don't want kids to feel comfortable with it, but we want kids to recognize, hey, I wore a blue mask yesterday, I need to wear a red one today. It's very hard to quantify.
At the hospital, I think it was St. Mike's, you said, where they were going to have like Mondays are blue day, Tuesdays are red day. And I thought, well, that would be an amazing initiative for workplaces where they say you have to wear, you know, every Wednesday everyone wears their blue mask, because then you know that their mask is fresh and clean and has been washed, or you would hope that they've washed it since last
Right. And so, you know, people always tell, exactly, and that's what's going to be hard moving forward, going back to work and school, is to make sure that people are washing their mask. And the only way to do that is through a little bit of public humiliation, right? It's like, how are you wearing your gray mask? Yeah, like, just to bring awareness. Like, it's pretty much like we don't, you know, you don't fart or burp in public.
Underwear, the same underwear, right? They have the underwear with the days of the week. They're gonna maybe you should put the days of the week on the
we thought about that, but then that's like hard, because, you know, my 7-year-old will be like, it's Monday, I don't care if the wash is masked or not, I need to wear my Monday mask, you know. So it's much harder to enforce that, but we're going with colors. So 5 different colors, 5 days of the week. And so, you know, we have 5 colors right now. So we have a gray, a red, a navy blue, a black, and a burgundy. And we wanted it to be kind of neutral, because then, you know, it's easy for the kid to tell you, hey, I wore my black mask yesterday. Whereas try explaining, I wore my black mask with polka dots and pink, like, you know, because all the printed stuff, it's hard to do that. So there is that portion of it. But the last thing I really kind of want to bring, so with the kid packs, you know, you put it in the kid's backpack, you take it out when they come home from school. They know as soon as they get in the car, they need to take their mask kit out, put their mask the way that we teach them. And this is all going to be in our video that we're going to share with teachers and parents, that to teach your kids about mask safety, you do this. So when the kid comes home, it's easy for you. Take your mask out, wipe down the bag, put a fresh mask in for them. And then it's just like a lunch box. You just keep it right next door to their lunch bag. in the
And
morning.
then to wash it, can I put it in delicate in the washing machine or hand wash? What's your preference?
So we recommend hand washes for longevity, but I mean, obviously it's not really always easy to do. So if you go on our Instagram, we've done a lot of series about proper washing and drying of masks. So because
it's not that hard to hand wash it. Like if you're just like, just do it, hang it to dry, it's done. Like
yeah, so the hand wash is about 50. If you're gonna wash it, machine wash it, maybe 30, because you know it does go through a little bit more. You can always replace a mask. It completely survives in the washing machine too. It's not that bad.
And what water temperature do you recommend?
Hot is good. You know, you could always add a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to your wash as well if you're doing it on delicates. But the most important thing is all of our masks come steam sterilized and pre-washed. So, you know, it's really important to either iron your mask or put it in the dryer to get rid of anything that might be left over, you know, or hang it in the
I have been hand drying it or hanging it to dry, so I should put it in the dryer.
Yeah, if you're doing that in the direct sunlight, fantastic. But as the weather gets colder, you know, just a quick iron or even just, you know, putting it in the dryer for even 10 seconds, just at high heat, will give it, it will protect it from anything that's in there. The very last thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is something that is very important to me, is hand sanitizer is well and good, but what we really want to do is wash our hands all the time. Exactly.
Yes, and I'm so, like, from an allergy mom perspective, this is probably one of the things I'm the most excited about with your kits and could see using long after the pandemic's over, because it will be over at some point. Oh my goodness. But, you know, when my daughter was little, I would teach her not to use soap in people's homes or at the movie theaters or in public places because she has dairy and nut allergies, and a lot of sundries and personal care products have nut oils in them, almond oil or different things, and shea. And most people aren't allergic to shea, but it is, you know, it could be considered a nut. And so you just want to be really careful. So the idea of having this portable soap is so awesome. And it's not something that's going to leak in your bag. Like these are just awesome. So yeah, please share your soaps.
So there used to be like a big paper soap trend a few years ago. Yeah, they come out as like, we wanted to make, I know, it's made out of, what they do is the way they make this soap is we take a big bar of olive oil soap. So it's like pretty much, it's made out of olive oil. And then you slice it very thinly and then you dry it so that the sheets don't get stuck to one another. So even if it's very hot outside, you could carry it in the compact and it would still be paper. I know. So the reason we have two different kinds of packaging, because we thought maybe men or boys might not want to carry a compact. I mean, it's cute, but you know, and that's why we came up with this kind of more rectangular packaging.
I don't find that super feminine. Like it's fine.
So this one is, yeah, so it depends on if you're buying, like it depends, but these ones are little as well. And then they all are a little bit, they're more rectangular. And then they come off as a sheet.
So the package slides open?
Yeah, it slides open like cool. So.
Like it.
Yeah, and then we also offer some refills, like you could refill them. Purging all so washes. That's like almost 2. So hello?
Oh, it's glitching out a little bit here.
Yeah, right at the end, right? Yeah. So I was going to say.
So I missed some of that. Can you repeat it, just because I feel that it didn't record? Go back to when you were saying you can buy the refills. I missed everything after that. Sorry.
Now you can buy the refills when you buy the product itself, just because the refill packaging is really tiny. So if you want to stock up, I would encourage you to buy the refills at the time of purchasing the product. There's 50 sheets in each compact or box, so you could wash your hands up to 50 times. The best part about them is that they don't get wet. You know, I don't know if you've used one of these yet, but it gives you a lot of like really good like coverage, right?
Yeah.
And if you're camping or outdoors, it fits in your bag easily. It encourages hand washing. The instructions are right on there. So it tells you rub your hands 30 seconds in a graphic. So there's no way that you don't understand how to use it, right? Like you have to.
Sense. Like what are the different colors? Sorry, you did glitch out, so I might miss something.
The colors are just meant for fun. The soap is exactly the same. And they use all natural dyes to make the colors. So if you want to go dye free, you get the white, but I just thought the colors are so pretty. So if you wanted to have some choices about the color, but yeah, it's made out of exactly the same ingredients. There's no difference in the smell or the feel of it. The MSDS or the safety guidelines for the soap are going to be available on our website if you wanted to download them to make sure that there's nothing in there that you're allergic to. They're pretty much all natural ingredients, you know, as pure as it can get. And the good part about it is that if you do have allergies or other things, you could try using a piece at home. And then if you're not getting a reaction to it, then you know that it's something safe that you can carry and use over and over again. And so it gives you that kind of just try one sheet. And if you are having red skin or something, immediately stop using it, instead of buying a whole bar and then realizing, hey, this is not really something that I want to keep. Right.
Yeah. And I think if anyone had an issue, it's such a nice thing you could share with someone else and pass on. Like, I think this is a great gift idea for people. I know, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I love giving practical gifts. So when I'm giving someone a gift, I give something that I would want to receive, that's something that I could actually use. So I'm like looking at this kit and thinking with the packaging, like this is something I would buy for my friends and loved ones because it's promoting their health and safety and very thoughtful. It's the kind of thing I would appreciate anyway.
Right. And also, I mean,
if you buy me a bunch of kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also very, if you have older, like, you know, parents or grandparents, you know, they're so much more
compliant because the older people are typically teens and older people were having struggles with compliance, I think. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where they're so vulnerable. Like, you know, the older you are, the more you are a target for this virus. So if you do want to buy, you know, your grandmother or your mom, something to keep them safe, it's like a nice gift item, but it also forces them to pay attention to their health. You know, like you can't have something like this.
Who's wearing a really skanky looking dirty mask that you feel like they're reusing. You could be like your office mate. You could be like, here.
Happy birthday.
I have a gift for you. Please wear it.
So we are, and so if you are in school boards or a teacher or in the field of education, we are offering our masks with, you know, custom branding. If you didn't want the Candid Clean branding, we actually reached out to the Milton board and a couple of other places where we want people to tender masks out. So if you're at an organization, you know, we want everyone to use the same mask everywhere because that means that you have the same quality of coverage. And I think it's going to become really important in education because it is one of those places where, you know, you wear your own clothes. There's no uniform in the public system. You know, it's encouraged, but a mask is not the same. Like, you know, you want to make sure that masks and sanitizers are somehow standardized, so the risk is minimized everywhere. So if you do encourage other people to maybe purchase one or even procure some in bulk to have for teachers, then you know that when you are interacting with other teachers, the safety level is comparable. Right. And
thinking of too, as we're talking, you know, with everything that's been going on in society these days and looking at underserved populations. And I feel like this is just another example of something where you're going to see disparity for people in access to this kind of technology and these kinds of products. And, you know, so what an amazing thing to donate to
Right. We just actually joined a donating campaign. Volunteers in Ontario is holding a campaign where they're giving 12,000 masks to First Nations and other communities. And so we donated a bunch of our masks there. We're always approached by people, and we're happy to do that as well. Obviously we don't give them all the kind of packaging, but we'll still have a lot of our awareness campaign in there. So, they'll still get a card that teaches them proper hygiene, because we don't want to cut any corners. This is safety, right? And so, you could go to your Hasty Market and buy a $3 mask, just like anything else, but just be careful, because it's not for the sake of wearing a mask. It is supposed to be protecting you and others. And I think as we become more aware of its importance in controlling transmission, like BC is back to like the 200s in their second round already. And, and it's only because we fell into this pandemic not being prepared, but now we don't have an excuse. Like we can, moving forward, we can do more to mitigate transmission.
I think it's the time now that we're realizing this isn't going away anytime soon. We're stuck in this, and we need to get educated. We need to, start to really consider what we're using on our body, what we're putting on our body, how we're doing it, how we're keeping safe, and how we're going to go back out into the world in the safest way possible. So where in the world can people access your kits? Where are you delivering to? Where are you shipping to? And how can people get these products?
So if you are watching this video live, or part of your audience or other people, then you could get a code that gives you 10% off. And that's the Allergy Mom Gets Candid code. And I'll send this to you as well. You can post. And then if they put that in their checkout, they get 10% off the kit. If they are friends and family of yours that can pick up from your place, I can send you a different code where they get free shipping on top of the 10%. And then I could deliver some kits to you for friends and family that you could pass on.
Yeah, I'm planning on sending a message out to, kind of all my friends and local people, my coworkers and stuff, and just letting them know that, I've learned a lot, and I'll share this video with them. And then if they're interested, I might just say like, I'll do a mass order, and everyone can come pick them up for me, social distance style.
Yeah, boxes.
Yeah.
And that's the reason the box is the way that it is, because it really does protect it from anything inside. So you could leave them out. Even if you get them a bit wet, they're not going to disintegrate, because they're made out of corrugated box material. So we could do one for friends and family. And then I think in terms of you buying product, we pretty much ship the same day if you place an order on our website at candidclean.com. You could also follow our link in the bio on Instagram. Do follow us, because we are a lot more than just selling these products. So all of our campaigns,
huge educational component.
There's a huge educational component with tips and other slides that are very visually attractive for you to share with friends and family to keep it up. I don't want to keep on playing a broken record about safety, but the more we hear about it, the more it's going to become part of our routine, and we're not there yet. So, we're not there yet.
That's why I really wanted to do this with you. I mean, it's a little bit outside of my allergy work, but it's not, because I think I was telling you, there was the one time I was on the plane with Kate, and they were roasting nuts on the airplane, and she started to get really sick and feeling awful. And, you can't even imagine that they still do that nowadays. And we had a kit from a company that we use for seat covers for when we travel, to cover the seat. And it had a mask in it. And I remember her and I being like weird about wearing a mask at the time. It just seemed like over the top. And now, like we said, it's this completely different world. And I think going forward, it's just going to be the new normal. And I want to educate. I'm very passionate about sharing this, because it is health and safety.
Right, exactly. And I mean, we're also doing, and we're going to be releasing these pens in the fall, but they're a smaller version of the sanitizer, and exactly the same idea. But the reason that we have the little pens is because you could put them, say you're going into a meeting and you don't want to carry a bottle even, you could just attach it to your clipboard or attach it to your briefcase or your purse. And then like we want people to, like, this is the only way we're going to eliminate this virus. The more we do these kinds of things, the more chances of it, getting left behind. And so we want things that are easy to use, that help you follow safety. You don't think twice about them, and just embrace the new normal is what I say. Like, what else can you do?
Shipping internationally at all, or is this only in Canada?
So we're hoping to start up our international portal in October. So the first week of October, we will be shipping worldwide. So you could, at a flat rate, you could ship anywhere. It is going to be a little bit expensive, but it's worth it because our products we have very low markups. We want to get it out there. But shipping, we're not Amazon. And we're not going to be selling through them. So it's going to be a little bit expensive. But I mean, $20 is kind of like a flat rate worldwide, which I think, it's not bad. So
yeah, like we were talking about, I mean, it's so easy to go into a store and see, $1.99 products, cheap masks, cheap hand sanitizers, but, over extended use. And as this is becoming our daily protocol and our daily like skincare, so to speak, I mean, we're ingesting this. This is going into our body. And so it's like anything else, right? It's the quality. I always think of Jamie Oliver. He's the chef. He talked about how people, they spend a lot of money on their clothing. They spend a lot of money on their cars, but they don't often want to spend a lot of money on food and groceries, and they kind of cheap out on that stuff. And this is the same thing. It's stuff that we're putting on our skin, that we're ingesting, that we're consuming. It's, skin is the same as ingesting food, right? We have transdermal, right?
I know. And, it's funny because people are I feel like right now the trend with the masks, and this is sort of where I'll leave off, the trends with the masks are people are going into silk and lace, and it's becoming a very big fashion thing. And I'm all for fashion, but at the end of the day, and this is something where I notice a lot of people wearing, Vistaprint masks or masks that are completely being sold on the marketplace. Those masks are coming from China or Malaysia or other places with, and they're going through a mass production factory cycle. No one's steam sterilizing them. No one's pre-washing them. You're putting them on your kid, and you're letting your kid breathe that all the time. So by the time the awareness of how these chemicals interact with your skin is going to come around, it's going to be 2-3 years from now. And by then you would have worn a mask every day for 8 hours. So it's kind of, I don't want to, scare you, but use normal, natural stuff that we've been exposed to. Cotton, 100%. Olive oil, you use it all the time. Use natural things.
Having children with eczema, I became very conscious about synthetic fabrics and the effect that those have on the skin. So, I've always been a big proponent of cotton and its breathability, its natural fiber. And, when my daughter and I traveled to California in June, we go for her medical treatments. She does allergy treatments there. So we had to travel in the pandemic. And at the time I used disposable masks because I didn't want to use my reusable masks at the time because I wasn't educated about it. And I was worried about not being able to wash it while I was out on the road. So I used these disposable masks thinking we can just throw them out. So we were creating a huge amount of waste. It was like every time we changed flights, we were throwing out our mask, and I was conscious of that. And then there was a smell. Like I had it on for 12 hours, these masks, and it was, breathing this in and thinking, what is the glue in here? What is the fiber? Like, what am I breathing in right now? And I'm very sensitive, to smells and to knowing what I'm ingesting, because that's the life of an allergy mom. You just become hyper conscious of what's in your body. And so,
but I mean, one of my really good friends, actually, her father was really ill, and she had to travel to the Middle East during the pandemic. And she bought a kit for me. Literally, she heard about it the day before. I had to hand deliver the kit to her, and she wore it on her 13-hour flight to Dubai. And she said that not for a second did she feel claustrophobic or had to remove it. Whereas and so what we're planning to do as travel becomes, because with a lot of our development, we have to think about all the infection control aspects of it too. So we actually send it out for testing, the hospital tests it, other people test it, and then we release a product. And so we're going to have travel kits very soon that are going to give you the reusable mask, but they'll have little pockets. So you wear it, put it in the pocket, zip it up, then you take your next one out on your next flight, and continue that, because, you know, the two things that are really close to my heart is everything needs to be as natural and close to natural and healthy for you. And then we need to save our environment as well. And as Canadians, I feel that, you know, we made so much progress in that department before the pandemic, and now we're back to where we were before that. So we all need to do our part to stay healthy and keep our planet healthy. And
we were supposed to be traveling August 31st for our next appointment. We canceled it just because of the state of everything right now and return to school and work. So we're now scheduled to go back again in the fall, probably in November. So that's definitely going to be something I'll be chatting with you about, making sure I'm well equipped for our flights, and then something, you know, I can share as well, our journey and just how we're traveling amidst the pandemic.
Sure. And I mean, put the cards up in your home, you know, encourage your kids to look at them. You know, we try to make them out of good material. So there's
story. People can read these to their kids before bed, and
we're trying to work with illustrators that are kid friendly, and then they're completely bilingual, so they're very very pro-Canadian. So yeah, just we want, like, right now things are slowly ramping up, but as people become more aware, we are selling a quality product, so you can't really compare it to other things on the market. And that's why I kind of refrain from talking prices or numbers with people, because I just say, you know, you wouldn't be asking me these questions for skin products or makeup, and
right.
Just like everything else. And so yeah, so that's
thank you so much for all this amazing information. It's been such a pleasure to meet you. You're just a lovely person. I can feel your passion, and just how genuine you are in all of this. And I'm really glad that my sister-in-law Dina connected us. And
yeah, I'm really happy to chat. And I think moving forward, you know, we could do this more regularly, to talk about safety as issues become more and more prevalent in the school system and other places. And I'd love your feedback on how things are going in the classrooms. We are partnering with a major company and getting a big grant to create portable barriers made out of glass that you can move into classrooms and practice good social distancing. So we're part of a lot of initiatives to promote safety in Canada and locally. And so keep us in mind, support us, you know, review our products. We're always open to feedback. You know, if you want to change something, tell us about it. We're happy to do that. And just use it and be safe, you know, stay safe, be healthy. That's the goal.
I'll be sharing this on my podcast as well as through social media, my newsletter, pretty much, you know, everywhere that I can. And I look forward to continuing this relationship and sharing all that you're doing, and I'll keep my eye on everything that you're posting. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.